most of the people that you're seeing on social media that you think is high value, they're full of shit. They're showing you this image of what they want you to think they are and their lives are, and yet behind the scenes, they're an absolute mess.
Most people actually think that high value is what you see on the outside, right? The cars, the externalities, everything that you can quote unquote show. What if high value is far more about what's on the actual inside, the things that people cannot see, way more than you could ever imagine?
Hey everybody, it's Bianca.
Welcome back, Evolvers. It's Emilia.
We are psyched about this episode because this is a topic that we talk about very, very often with the people in our community. What does it actually mean to be high value, and how do you become that? We're all bombarded with people all over social media and in the regular media and in our lives that we think of as being high value because of the external success that they demonstrate. And as we both said in that opener, most of it is bullshit. It's a fugazi. It's a distorted perception to make you believe in something and inevitably to buy something. It's usually where that comes from. But high value isn't what we think it is. High value isn't that distorted idea that we have about the car you drive and the clothes you wear and the people and the socially significant high status people that you're surrounding yourself with. Most of the people that optimize their lives for that are deeply miserable and deeply unfulfilled, and most of them end up completing suicide. So what we want to dive into today, Emilia and I are going to riff a little bit regarding how do you actually become a high value person? How do you actually embody being high value? Because it's not what you think it is. It's something so much deeper than that. And so that's what we want to talk about today. So, you are
Talk to me.
the most high value woman I've ever met. And for those of you who, I don't know if I've ever talked like this deep about it, but whenever I think of, I haven't talked about it this deep on the show, but whenever I think of the woman that I want to be, you guys know bullshit, I think of Emilia. It's like, what is the ultimate embodiment of the type of woman that I aspire to be? And Emilia's face and name always comes up whenever I'm doing meditations, whenever I'm journaling, when I'm thinking about the type of mother that I want to be in the future. I'm always like, how can I be more like Emilia? Because Emilia is insanely high value, not because of the stupid flashy shit that she has. She only has that because of the woman that she has become. You've been my idol for so long, ever since I met you. We haven't talked about how we met in a hot minute. I met Emilia at a Muay Thai gym. We were literally, she beat the living hell out of me. And I was like, oh my God, this girl is so hot. And she's a badass. And she has this energy about her like I've never seen before. I want to be her friend. I want to be like her. How can I do that? And so we got paired up together and we started sparring. We started talking about goals and dreams. And it was off to the races from there. And ever since then, it was like, oh my God, there are actually people in the world like this. I thought this was a fantasy. But this is actually a person who embodies this. And the last 6 years, what year is it? 2025. We met in 2019. Yeah. The last 6 years have literally been me picking your brain about how can I become like this? How can I become more like this? What is she doing? Why is she doing what she's doing? How can I do that? And I want everyone who's listening to this podcast and watching this on YouTube to get to see that it's not a fantasy. It's actually skills and values and character traits, not the flashy, stupid shit that you see all over social media. That's all pretend, all fake. And they bought it on credit cards with money they don't have. There is a way to truly be high value. And so, I want to pick your brain a little bit. How did you get here? I know that's a really big question, and I'm going to pull from you the more that you're talking, but I want to start with a big question. How did you get here? How did you become someone who is capable of running 2 six-figure businesses and run a household and have a magnificent relationship and have an amazing body and lifelong health trajectory and it's like you do all of these amazing things. How did you do it, and what are the skills that everyone listening to this can pull from?
First of all, thank you. I'm so beautifully uncomfortable with this
Good.
level of admiration. And also just, I feel like I'm on a pedestal that is so uncomfortable to be in. And when I look back at even just the first 30 years of my life, it's like, oh, right. Yeah. No, we put in a lot of work to get here, right? When we talk about skills. And I'm someone who cannot, just say that I did it alone. I know I put in a lot of effort, a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of conscious thought, a lot of strategy, a lot of intentional focus to be who I am today. And I am standing on, I would say, generations, not just within my family, but like so many shoulders of giants of people who I looked up to and who helped me create the foundations that I have and that I've built from, right? And I think that anyone that is a high value person or is looked to as a high value person, it's not about, the what they have, it's about who they are and what they embody, right? Again, embodiment is going to be a big word when we talk about this space. So when I think about, what is more valuable, is it the net worth that I have right now, or is it the skill set that no one can take away from me? Is it the education level that I've invested in and been invested in by? And is it the character traits and the philosophies and the moralities that I have? Or is it, the price tag that you would put on, I don't know, the accumulated compound effect of my closet, right? Like so many people, from my perspective, when we talk about high value, we just look at that externality of what someone has, not what they embody. And so I remember being very young, to answer your question, and having my dad really sit me down on many occasions. He was always, someone who would try to instill these philosophies and ways of thinking, and maybe I didn't appreciate it as much back then, but now looking back, it was definitely incredibly influential, because those were lessons and philosophies that his grandfathers and other people, not just within our family, but mentors and guides and coaches and people who were very worldly, had traveled, had seen different cultures, had worldviews that were very big and beyond just the small town thinking, right? And those philosophies were passed down to me. And, I had 2 siblings, and the way in which we perceived life is very different. How we all embodied those philosophies and lessons. I'll give one for an example, is education, right? I was taught that education is something that compounds and no one can take that away from you. So how you invest in your own education, that opens up doors for you and can add value in this world in a way that someone, and I'm not just talking about higher ed, I'm talking about education, about learning about life, about learning about other people, about learning yourself. And if that looks like graduates and graduate degrees and all that stuff, like awesome, but it's far less of the degree and it's far more of the mindset of becoming someone who has learned, someone who is curious, someone who is humble and never stops learning. That
it's an
is the
identity
bedrock
thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's identity. You embody, you really identify as a high value person. And because because you identified it in advance, you had to live up to it?
In a way, I think that the identity that I came from very humble beginnings, very, very humble beginnings. So it wasn't like I identified as a high value
Sleeping in
person from
Uggs
the
in the
get.
middle
Yeah,
of
literally
winter.
sleeping in Uggs, coming from, you know, depends on who you talk to in my family, but like coming
Yeah.
from a very um interesting background where I had an entrepreneurial father and a stay-at-home mother. And so those are,
Mm.
it's statistically very rare, to have that type of upbringing. But that I learned in my past that actually came from entrepreneurial bloodlines in many ways. And when you learn the laws of trade-offs and sacrifices, and you learn to stay humble throughout that entire journey, you learn a lot of core life principles in a way that some people who try, I remember in particular the philosophy of new money versus old money. Old money is someone who doesn't really go out and buy a Lamborghini or a Ferrari, even if they do have the money. Their old money are people who accumulate wealth, not because of just what they do in the world, but because of who they are, right? They add value just by who they are in the world. And they're always looking for ways to add value in people's worlds. And if they do have extra cash, then they're giving it back to the community to try to rebuild the community. Right, donating to schools, giving kids scholarships, doing things with that money that helps to build and accumulate more wealth, not necessarily just financial, but wealth and health in the world. And new money is someone who might have been just passed down, a trust fund or whatnot, and goes and gets this Lamborghini or whatnot. But again, the skill sets that are learned through that are very different and very, from my perspective, shallow in contrast to the old.
I have a client. We haven't talked about this yet. I have a client, 21 years old. Her father bought her a $75,000 2025 Porsche.
Yeah.
And she told me that in the session, and I was like, no, he didn't. No, he didn't. There's a part of me, and I need to be honest about this, okay? I'm going to call myself out real hard right now. A part of me got jealous first. A part of me was like, this girl has a Porsche? Are you serious? And then rationality kicked in. And then another part of me was like, oh no.
Yeah.
What was that? No. Because she's never gonna learn it on her own.
Learn what though, specifically?
What you're talking about, the grit and the resiliency and the skills of what it takes to have to earn something like that. Humility. And she and I are working together, so I'm going to talk to her about it, and we're very close, so I can have a dialogue with her about it. But you can't be high value if you're just given things, because you don't develop anything in here.
Yeah, internal. You don't have to.
It's the inner game. That's what makes high value. You came from super humble beginnings. You weren't given anything. When you finally got to a place where your family was extremely wealthy, they tried giving you things and you said no. You literally told them, no, I'm going to do this on my own. That's why you have your own Tesla now, and you bought your own home at 26, and you did all of these amazing things. It's not because you have the things that you are high value. You are a high value woman, and because of that, you were able to achieve those things through your success. I think this is the biggest takeaway that people need to understand about embodying value and being a high value person. It's about who you become along the way. I didn't start becoming a high value person until I started having to do things on my own and developing skill sets that I didn't have before. Grit, humility, resiliency, work ethic, self-respect, self-belief, self-worth, self-love, all of these really critical components that I didn't have before. A lot of these people who were just given things, you don't develop that. And I know because I was somebody who was just given things. I wasn't given a Porsche, but like I didn't have to work for anything. My parents basically said, go to school and get good grades. And that's it. We don't care about anything else. And don't bring a bad reputation to the family. That was my 2 criteria.
Yeah.
Everything else we're just going to do for you. Everything else we're just going to give to you because that's what they thought love was. They did it out of the kindness of their heart. And you guys, I'm going to be kind of crass right now. It fucked me so bad because I'm 20 years old, 25 years old when I met Emilia. And it's like, I don't know how to do anything. I'm so naive. I'm getting used and abused. I don't know how to go to the mechanic and get a oil change because everything was done for me. Or my dad was just like, go to my friend, he'll take care of it for you. I'll just drive up. Everything was taken care of for me. I didn't have to do anything.
Yeah.
I didn't have the inner skills. And so I was screwed until I met you and until you were like, what the hell is wrong with you? You didn't say it like that, but you might as well have. You should have.
Hi, everybody. I wanted to jump on here. My name is Julie, and I wanted to give a huge shout out to Evolve Ventures and to my coaching with Bianca. I'm like many of you. It's like I've read all the books, positivity, the glass is half full, it's not half empty. Tried to get myself away from negative people, tried to think positive thoughts, suffered from depression, on medications, tried everything, counseling, tried so many different things, and it helped, but I never felt like I got to the root of the problem. And I started listening to Evolve Ventures, amazing. And then I did a free coaching with Bianca and thought, what could it hurt? It's free, right? Oh my gosh, that day changed my life. I blurted out to Bianca things that I had never even really thought about myself. And I ended up setting up coaching with her. And I know so many of us say, oh, we can't afford coaching. But let me tell you, that coffee that you drink, that cupcake that you have, those cookies that you buy, that restaurant you go to, all those little things to make you feel better, you can take all of that and put it aside and invest in yourself. Use that money to invest in you because you don't need those cookies to feel happy anymore. You don't need those restaurants to feel happy anymore. When you know how to be happy yourself, how to make yourself happy. And it's not all great, every day is fine, but I can now acknowledge things. I can acknowledge why I feel the way I do, and I can work through it without having to feel like there is no help. People are great. I definitely recommend Evolve Ventures and Bianca.
I was more so like, why were you not given these lessons? It made me even more appreciative for the lessons that I not only was given consciously, but also the lessons that I extracted. So like, I remember like there's a couple of memories that are coming to mind. Like I would be around people and I would get around people because I was always fascinated about success and specifically women in success too. That was always something like, yeah, okay, men, awesome, great. Men, successful, awesome. They have a ton of privilege. So I was more curious about the women that were always behind the scenes and or not acknowledged in the journey of men's success. So when I would be around a millionaire, I would be very keen to talk to his wife, right? I would be around someone who had their private jet, multiple fleet of their private jets, and I would be very curious to talk to their team, right? I would be very curious to talk about the mind that's underneath that had built something like that, and really trying to extract what was it that, because for me, it wasn't about the private jets. Like I could give a shit, right? Like people have always said, you've never really, like people haven't really been able to influence you. You could get around, Dwayne Johnson or Lady Gaga and you wouldn't flinch because you just see the person. Whereas other people would lose their mind just being able to be in a shared space with someone like that. And I remember sharing to so many different people, and I'll share this here, is that like, it was never about that. Again, the externalities, because when you learn the skill, that can be a given, but it's the skill that's underneath, that's on the inside, that no one sees, that no one talks about, that is not sexy, right? That you have to actually try to put words to, that makes that person high value. And so we actually, you and I had done an out of the mud on this, which I thought was really fascinating because, again, we have been told lies about what high value is, and we've been conditioned, right? Think about all of our family of origins to focus on an external piece of value, right? For me, let's just say, for example, it was education, right? And or family. Maybe not necessarily the resourcefulness and problem solving, right? That or resilience that gets you through hard tests, or the emotional intelligence to self-regulate when there's a conflict in the family, right? Like that's not necessarily getting the limelight, if you will. And for you, it was don't bring shame upon the family. Like go ahead and get good grades, make sure that happens. But what we learned and shared in Out of the Mud, which was to what people who were there really appreciated and always knew, it's like when someone walks into a room and they have that aura, you know what that is. You know that they're a high value person. And it's not because they have a Gucci bag or whatever. Like all of that is just complete fugaziness, because you can buy that, like you said, with a credit card, with a stolen credit card, right? Like you can gain access to that, right? But like the thing is, you can't buy emotional intelligence. You cannot buy authenticity. No. You cannot buy strong boundaries. You cannot buy confidence, self-respect, continuous growth, integrity, impactful presence, high standards, resilience, resourcefulness, and problem solving. You cannot buy that. Money cannot buy that.
None that's real. You can fake it. You can't buy the real epitome of it. I'm going to highlight you for a second. You're going to be so uncomfortable, but not for nothing. Get over it. Emilia was in her early 20s, had 6 figures cash on hand in the bank, was driving around a piece of shit Prius, a fucking Prius.
We love the
wearing the same clothes multiple times a week, would make her own goddamn jewelry to save money, but yet her parents had 2 houses and did all of these things. You can't fake that. She could have. She had all of that she actually had all of the external markers of success, and she said, no. Nobody needs to know this. Nobody needs to see this, because this isn't who I am. I only have this because of who I've become. Mm-hmm. You guys, this is the takeaway that I need every single person listening to this to walk away with. Being a high value person is not what you have, it's who you are. And you can't fake it. You can't. Every one of us has been in a room with somebody who looks like a millionaire who we know we had an icky feeling about. It was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I don't feel safe around this person. This person seems cool on social media, but being around them, it's like, oh my God, are you serious? When I met Emilia, it was the exact opposite. It was like, oh my God, who is this? There's a difference, and it's because of who you are. If you spend more time focusing on who you are, you will eventually get all of those things.
Yeah,
you'll get a nice house. You'll get a nice car. You'll be able to get an amazing partner like you did. But it's because of who you become. If you chase the thing, you're going to spend your whole life chasing it. But you got to work on who you become, and then you'll get everything. That's the only reason why I'm successful. I became stubborn as shit after, some really difficult things happened to me. My parents wanted to help me. I wouldn't let them. I had a horrible breakup in 2021, 2022, whenever it was.
Yeah.
My parents literally lived down the street, and I said, nope. I lived out of my car
so proud of you.
for like a couple of days. And then Emilia's friend was kind enough, I never met this person, was kind enough to let me go sleep in a blow-up mattress in their attic.
Yep.
Like,
so proud of you for that, because what did that build be? Where you easily could have gone back to your mom and dad, and you could have easily gone back into comfort. You stayed in the discomfort, and you built a skill within that.
They begged me to come back. They begged me, and I wanted to. There was a part of me that was like, oh my God, this would be so much easier. I'd save so much money.
Yeah.
I could find a really nice place. I had just bought in a new car. Like I had done all of these things because I was chasing this external marker.
Yeah.
And it was like a brick house had fallen on me, a shit brick house. I'll even go that far. And it was like,
Oh.
this is the delineation. This is the line in the sand moment right here.
Mm-hmm.
If you go home, you're going to ruin your life. Not because my parents are bad people, but because I wouldn't have developed the skill sets to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And thank God I didn't. Because they're like, we'll build you a studio. We'll let you renovate the entire basement. The basement will just be yours. It was a fully furnished, renovated basement. They're like, we'll just give it to you. We'll help you pay off your car. We'll give you money. My parents literally were so generous. They would have done anything for me. And I said,
Right.
hell no. Hell no. I went and got my first apartment by myself and my life started to change.
Not only that, but I want to brag about you for a hot second. I got a text from you the other day, which was a journal entry that you sent to me. I want to share this journal entry with you. I'm paying down debt like a savage. I paid off over 500 of the money that I owed XYZ, 13 on here, on that credit card, slapping down cash. I don't want to say like P. Diddy because that's just not okay. But like,
Please don't fucking compare me to P. Diddy. All the baby oil.
But yeah, like you are slapping down you're earning revenue and you're learning the skill sets to become financially responsible and have fiscal strategies to not only build your own foundation, but not become a slave of, what very well is easily to become of this capitalistic society. And you had to learn the skills to be able to do that. And no one can take away what you've learned.
Facts.
Because you said no to what would be easier and what would be comfier and what could have felt better in the moment. And Bianca, you are on your way to becoming a high value woman.
I appreciate
and
that.
It is because you had the audacity as a woman to say no to those things. And I'm so proud of you for that.
I'm not saying this because the number matters. I'm just saying it because I never thought this was possible for me. Over the last 2 years, I've paid off 20 grand of debt with no help from anybody. I mean, Emilia's been in my corner and has guided me, and I've gotten coaching, and all of the people in my life have supported me. But I never got money from anybody. I got skills and resources and grit and a slap in the face of like, B, go figure it the hell out.
And you earned it. You were willing to put in the work and really have higher standards for yourself. And that no one's going to be able to take away from you. That's a high value person.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't about us. We're not here to brag and become braggadocious. We're only referencing us as an example. This is possible for every single one of you. I mean, Emilia and I both came from radically different backgrounds, and we were both able to do it. It is possible. And getting around people like us is what will allow you to feel like it's possible for you too, whether it's through coaching or therapy or the free communities that we have or the live events that we do multiple times a month. Like, being in a high value environment will inevitably make you a higher value person. Who you surround yourself with matters. And my life didn't start to change until I met 2 of my mentors, and then I met Emilia, and then everything started to change. You become high value through the person you become and the people you surround yourself with. If you focus on that, just like me, your entire life will radically change, and you'll wake up one day and you'll go, how the hell did I get here? But the thing is, you'll know exactly how you got here because you busted your ass for it.
Damn right. I chose 3 qualities that I wanted to embody, and I'll close on this. 3 qualities that I aspired to embody higher than anyone else. It was emotional intelligence, it was authenticity, and it was integrity. Because I remember growing up looking around and no one had those 3. No one had those 3. But when I saw what quote unquote was successful, high value people, if you really peeled away the curtains, it was the people that they surrounded themselves. They picked up those character traits from their social network, and they learned how to do that again and again and embody some of the qualities that high value people do. And so for anyone listening to this episode, choose 3 qualities that you have to work on in order to embody the highest value version of yourself. Get around people that already embody this naturally. And through the law of absorption, right? If you can also get someone in your corner that helps you do this in an integrous way, you will become high value. It's just a formula. It really is. So in closing, if you like this episode, number 350, we all struggle with the same fears, including not feeling like we can get there, right? That's terrifying sometimes when we set an intention and then we try to work towards it. That can be terrifying, but we all struggle with the same fears, and that's what I'm going to recommend.
Well said. 352, why givers always end up with takers. We will never take from you here. Our number one intention is to give, and to give more than you're expecting. And so if this is something that you want help with, please, we're just a DM away. Reach out, go to evolveventurestech.com. There's a ton of information on there. And we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.